I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, so Matt, once again, we're about to another review, and this is another paid request for Seth. Thank you so much for that. If anyone wants to request any type of reviews or re-reviews or reviews of movies or something else, topics, reactions, lists, pretty much any type of video, you send your requests either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, the film itself is Man Bites Dog. And I just say that I was curious about the film because I had heard about it. This is one of the early pieces of found footage movies. Now, of course, this was after Cannibal Holocaust, where some of that was a film and some of that was found footage. There's another film before this I liked called 84 Charlie Mopic, which is a Vietnam drama, action drama, where it's someone part of a unit who has one of those, that's where the title refers to, you know, filming the squad on a mission in Vietnam. I mean, that's a pretty decent film. I don't even know that film has a DVD or Blu-ray, I'm not sure. This one is a Belgian production, and it's in black and white, and it gave me a little bit of a vibe of Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Now, I would say that film is better because I thought, number one, it was a funnier film, while this film does have its attempts at black humor. And number two, at least with that one, you get a bit more sense of the documentary crew as characters, and the meeting, and sort of this art that comes with the characters behind the camera. You don't really get that here. Nothing too much. There's no arcs or anything of that sort. So like Behind the Mask, plus this references, Robert Englund being in it, like that type of stuff puts that above this. But it's a crew following a killer, and then him giving his insights or his political views or whatever the stuff, being friendly with the crew, filming him while also doing these deeds. I would say the film was rather effective in what it was trying to do. And part of me is like, I wish there was a setup as to how this came about. Like, how did this crew get with this killer? How did they join up? How did they meet? Because it gets into, boom, production's already underway. They're in the middle of it, and one of the first things is the killer talking about, you know, how much of a pain in the ass it is to weigh down bodies so that they don't float in the water. And what was interesting is the different dynamic of this guy, how he'll treat the crew very well, and he has his grandma and grandpa and his girlfriend, like very nice and kind to them. But then on a flip side, and this is like sort of a skinnier guy and not the type you associate as this killer shooting people left and right. It's not like a big, tough, scary looking dude. It's a guy who you wouldn't think twice, honestly. Kind of an affable killer. And again, he gives his philosophies to the camera. He'll kill old people for money. Usually starts with a postman and kill him to get the outfit to then get to older people's homes. There's some different types of editing, like you have a little kid with a toy gun, and when he shoots, boom, it cuts to a montage of him shooting folks, boom, 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 boom. Like, edit of just shooting various people. And I will say at times, well, again, I think Behind the Mask is a funnier film. There are times, and this was a movie that was subtitled. It's a foreign film. I did get some black humor chuckles out of the movie. Like how nonchalant he'll describe his crimes. Again, the guy, if he wasn't a killer, he seemed like just a nerdy type of, guy. A guy, like I said, a guy you wouldn't think twice. Not a handsome Brad Pitt guy or a big tough guy, but I'm trying to think like who I would describe him. Kind of like the guy in, if you know the film AVP, Alien vs. Predator, you know the guy that he wants pictures for his kids? Not the way he talks, but kind of the way he looks. That's the type of guy he is look-wise. And he's very nonchalant about how, oh yeah, over there, that's where I killed 2 Arabs and buried them. Facing Mecca, of course. And throughout the dialogue, it showcases that this guy's a racist, and he's just, but at the same time, he has these supposedly deep meanings about, like, talking about these red bricks and what they mean, and style of buildings. His ways of dealing with stuff, like this old woman, he scares her to death. It's like, hey, sometimes you do that. I saw that she had heart medicine. Save me a bullet. I like to try out new work methods. Again, because that when the guy is talking, he's not sinister and being over the top. He's just like he's like almost friendly with the news camera and buddy with them. But just the stuff he does and says is horrible, but his demeanor is quite the opposite from most of it. And again, that is an interesting dynamic. And the fact it was shot in black and white made the violence seem a bit more effective. I don't know why that is. Just gave it almost a creepier vibe because it was in black and white. There's also touches I enjoy, like there's a bit where him and the film crew are chasing this guy in a factory. And you have to think sound, with the boom mics and stuff, So there are times where the guy is talking, but because the microphone is so far away, you can barely hear him. As he gets closer and closer, you hear more and more. That might not seem like a big deal to anybody, but those little touches made it seem a bit more real, a bit more, okay, like that's just a nice touch that not many people would think of doing. Or people just assume you just have one of those microphones on you like that. But this was 1992 that it came out. And they've even talked about how this film crew is a low-budget production, and I mean, you don't really get a sense of the film crew, though. That's one thing Behind the Mask did a bit better. At least with the girl who was in... For those who don't know, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, the girl who's part of the film crew who becomes our female lead, she was in Home Alone. I think she was the girl that spoke French to her brother, to Macaulay Culkin's character. You're what the French call late incompetent. I think that was her. I could be wrong. Oh, cool, that's a girl in Home Alone. Cool. Okay. But anyway, here, all you did is when one of their own dies, the guy gets in front of a camera and says, oh, we'll keep doing it for him. It's an occupational hazard. And then throughout the film, more and more die. And again, you get a sense of how this film crew is just, to me, just as bad as the killer. They're getting more involved. They're not saying anything. It does show these guys are just as much as at fault as the killer. The killer goes, oh, get the mic over here, while he's got a person, and then to record the neck crack more. The film crew helped catch a kid who ran off. They help rape a woman, and they're singing drunkenly. So yeah, it's definitely one of those movies where, like I said, the killer's interesting in his different dynamic of appearance and behavior compared to what he says and does. And like I said, the film crew, the way it's shot in black and white, the violence scenes seem a bit creepier. And then some of the black humor caught me off guard and made me chuckle and laugh with some of the stuff he says. Or they keep pitching these bodies over. At one point, the fucking creek is gone, so they look down and they just see skeletons as well as just leftover bodies of all the people that's been dumped over. And how they try to handle that got, I mean, definitely pitch black humor. But you do see a downfall of these characters. You do see these characters, including the killer, get their just desserts, which was interesting as well, because that's not always the case in this kind of movie. But spoiler alert, I guess spoilers starting now. Well, you did a warning from the small-time Italian's brother that he killed earlier. Oh, another interesting scene is that you have another film crew. And so the killer gets his film crew to kill the other film crew who's following someone that our guy killed. And that's going to lead to the downfall, because, oh, the small-time Italian's brother. And you see the quick downfall where he tried to get a postman, guy got away. He's boxing, he gets knocked out. The creek dries up of bodies. The guy he screwed up again, the postman, he keeps rewatching it, and when slow motion, it's like, how did I do that? Oh, I did this, did that. And then I said this is spoilers. His family gets killed. His girlfriend gets killed. All they don't part ways. Boom, they get shot by this assailant we don't know, but we could assume is the one guy's brother. And again, it was interesting to see how, because so much of the film, these guys are having such a party, having such a... It was kind of cathartic to see these pieces of shit get their comeuppance more and more and more so. So that made it, in a sick way, somewhat satisfying. That it wasn't just a quick thing, it was just in this periodic downfall of these pieces of trash type of characters. And like I said, the way it was filmed, at the time, not many films were done this way. Listen, this is 1992. This is before found footage was just a known typical thing. So when you see films done before Blair Witch Project that employed this, it's definitely more of a curiosity, like 84 Charlie Mopic or this movie, Man Bites Dog. Which I know one thing that's weird is that some of the posters, you have the killer shooting and a pacifier comes up. I have no fucking idea why. And then in some places, it's not a pacifier, they put someone's dentures because the pacifier was too much. No babies get killed. I'll say that. If you're worried because you see that cover, none of that happens. I don't know why the fuck they even put it in there in the first place. I didn't want to see it happen. I'm glad it didn't happen, but again, like, to be shocking. But no one's dentures fly off too, so again, just to be shocking. It's I don't know if I call it a gory film. I mean, maybe the black and white helped. Maybe some people hurt. There's a lot of violence, but I don't know if I would say there's a lot of gore per se. And I wouldn't say it was as disturbing as the Poughkeepsie tapes, for example. But again, there are moments like, you know, for the subject matter, of course. But it was definitely interesting to watch. It was for free on YouTube. Someone uploaded it with subtitles. And like I say, it was interesting to see the early workings of found footage before we got the onslaught of them because of the success of Blair Witch Project. So I'm glad to finally have seen it. So thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys. Bye bye.